Yo, what's going on, guys? Blue here, coming at you with another tutorial video for PGA 2K21. This video is going to be the approach? No, maybe it's going to be the approach shot video. So if you haven't watched my swing plane video or you haven't watched my tempo video, I strongly recommend you go back and you watch those videos and you practice that out. And when you feel that you've at least gotten your swing tempo and the swing plane to a good spot, come back and start applying these methods to your approach shot. There's three main keys to the approach shot that we're going to go over today, and that's going to be one, the wind, and I'm going to go over the wind in a very generalized manner. I will probably eventually do a more specific, in-depth video about wind and its effects at a later date. But wind is one of them. The second one is your elevation. So is the pin above or below where you're standing? And then the third one is your lie, the ball lie. Is the ball above or below? And the ball has two parts to it. It's either the ball's above or below. And where does the ball sit? Is it in the rough, the sand, the fairway, the cart path, what have you? And how does that affect the shot? So I think the easiest way to do this is we're just going to head into a course and we're going to play it out, and I will just go through a few holes and we'll talk about the potential shot we have, and I'll apply the math going into it. First thing I just want to do is I've chosen to play the Flamingo by Victory Lane Sports and by Mayday, otherwise known as Mayo to the community. I just wanted to highlight this course because I think it's just a thing of absolute beauty. Really great design work from the boys. You can see here the actual course layout is laid out like a flamingo. So from the beak, neck down to the feet and the tail over here. Just a really cool golf course done in conjunction and partnership with Gooder brand. So really cool. Wanted to highlight that. I will link both of those creators and down in the description. I'll link their Twitters. I think they both have Twitters, so we'll get that done. And you can go give them some love and really, thank them and give them a little bit of appreciation for creating such a phenomenal golf course for us to play. I have not played it yet. This is the first time I'm setting foot on it. So I'm looking forward to playing it out with you guys, playing a couple of holes, taking a look at the approach shots, the potential shots here, and what we're going to do to try and get our ball the closest possible to the hole. Again, if you haven't watched the swing plane or the tempo video, go ahead and do that now. So I'm not really going to worry about where I'm driving the ball. I'm going to give myself a decent approach shot. I'm actually going to lay this one up, and we're just going to put this one right out into the fairway, and then we're going to have an approach shot. I think this is a great distance for approach shot. So here we have an 8-iron shot, we think. But let's examine our three key points that I was talking about. Wind, we have a 1 mile an hour wind, slightly back to our face, 0 mile an hour wind. So for this hole, we can ignore the wind. The wind's not going to have any effect. Elevation, we have 11-foot uphill putt from ball to pin. There's 11 feet of elevation. And then lie, the lie of our ball is dead straight. We have no left to right lie and a very slight back to front lie. So basically we have the best lie we can have, the best wind we can have, and we have to deal with this elevation now. So let's go and take a look at the actual green and the pin, and we're going to apply what I and the community have come to call the moving the pin method. What does that mean? Well, I actually give myself a new distance for the pin. And how do I do that? I take my 11 feet of elevation. I divide it by 3 in order to get yardage. So this is, I'll round it up to 12, divided by 3 is 4 yards. And because it's uphill, it's going to add 4 yards of distance to my shot. So my new pin actually plays at 152. Now, guys, this does not mean that the pin moves. The pin is always here. We're just applying an actual new distance based on elevation, because when you have a shot that is uphill, it requires more distance in order to accomplish the same shot or reach the pin. So 152 is my new pin. Now I got a lot of wind here. If we're taking a look at it, a little left to right with 5 miles an hour. It's going to blow probably like 2 yards. Usually it's 1-to-1 if it was directly in my back or directly in my front, but this is going to give me about a 2-yard push, and it's going to throw the ball left to right as well. So if I was going to 152, I got to take away some for this wind, 5-6 miles an hour. Probably taking away about 152. So now it's going to play 150. So now we take a look at our clubs, and this is where I have a bit of a gap here. I got a 15-yard gap in my club. I got to be able to hit it 150. How are we going to accomplish that? Well, first of all, we don't want to hit it 150, right? Because the reason is, if the pin's at 150 and I land it directly on the pin, what would happen is I would just bust out, and my journey would be way past the hole. Now, is that such a bad thing? We probably want to be short of the hole here, and we'll take a look and line up our shot. We probably want to be short of the hole here, give ourselves an uphill putt. So it's looking like we're going to hit this 9-iron. We're going to try and de-loft the 9-iron a little bit to try and get a little extra distance, but we want to end just below the hole. So I'm going to choose this 136. Again, the pin plays 150. I'm going to try and de-loft it, land somewhere at about 140, 141, and let the ball roll out a little bit. It is uphill, so it won't roll too far. And hopefully we can get the shot that we are looking for. Take a little practice swing here because I haven't swung the club yet. I would have been fast on that one. Let's do it again. Slow on that one. Okay. So let's see if our calculation is right, and if we've been able to. We'll add our loft. Actually, directly dead at the back now. We got our 99% perfect shot. This will hit at about 140. And then roll right on up to the hole. So you get about 10 yards of roll up because I added that de-loft a little bit, punching the ball out into the wind. We get ourselves a tap-in birdie, and that is approach shot golf at its finest. Let's take a look at this one. Perfect. We got a par 3 hole here. Par 3, again, we'll go through our 3 factors. Wind. 3 mile an hour at the back. Back to left, we're going to get about a 1 mile an hour, 1 yard, 2 yard push, because it's not directly in our back, but it's also going to fly a little bit right to left while it's in the air. Lie, we don't have to worry about because we're off the tee. It's always straight no matter what. Tee box is 100% shot all the time. Elevation is 1 foot. So basically we only have about a yard or two in the back. So this is going to play like a 207 yard. 207 yard, maybe 208. So we take away 1 yard for this type of wind, maybe 2. It's going to be 2 less because the ball is being pushed, so it's actually playing like 206. And then 1 foot up, so 206, 207. It plays quite true to what it is. Now I have a decision to make on this approach. If it's playing 207 and I hit a 4-iron, you're going to get about, depending where you're landing it, you're going to get about 15 yards of rollout on the green, depending on the firmness and all that, but let's just say 10 to 15 yards of rollout on the green. So if I was to hit this, it would actually land at 218, so I'd be somewhere down here. Unless I put loft and I put backspin. Or I can hit this, and it should roll out to about 205. 205. And because the green curves right to left, this plays really well for ground game. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to hit this. We're going to try. Now the wind's going a little bit left to right, so we're going to probably try and hit it just about here. Right on the perfect. Land the ball. The ball's going to shoot out onto the green, and then it's going to work its way down right to left. Right at the hole. We've done all our calculations. Let's make the shot. Now I slowed it, and I only hit my 95%, so I'm going to be way short of the green. And this is why you should watch the, I'm going to fast forward that, but you could see that it was going to work its way. You get a lot of roll. And you're going to want to watch the swing plane and tempo video, because you don't want to be consistently doing that. You definitely want to be consistently hitting your perfects, and having a straight swing plane. I'm going to putt this. Putt it, see if we can get it close. It's obviously a 2-putt scenario, but give it a ride. We'll see what happens. Oh, stop. A little bit too much juice. In fact, way too much juice. Wait. Ooh, did not break. Did not break as it was supposed to. We got a +1. All right, let's move on to the next approach shot. This one might be good if we hit this bunker. We'll try not to hit the bunker, but if we hit the bunker, not a big deal. All right, well, we're putting it in the bunker on the left here, which is fine. It'll allow me to show you guys the next approach shot. So we've missed our drive left. We were a little fast on it. This is actually no bueno. It's you guys over here. Fast. The swing's very fast here. Okay, so we're in the rough. This is perfect. So now we got to take our 3 things into consideration. First one is wind, 4 mile an hour at the back. Means I'm going to add 4 yards pretty much to my shot. Second one is lie. Or is elevation, sorry. There is no elevation. We're dead even with the pin. And the third one is lie. In order to see my lie, I press the LB button on my controller. You'll notice that I can't really see the grid, but if you hold the L2 at the same time, you get an overhead view of your player. You'll be able to see the grid. I am basically on a complicated. Looking like I'm more towards this, so I'm going to say I'm on a very slight right to left, almost straight. But you'll notice I'm on a very severe uphill, a red uphill. So it's going to put a lot of loft under the ball. It's going to have the same effect as almost a half a loft if you were to put it on manually. So I know right away that my distance, I'll never hit my max distance. It's going to be like almost like a lofted shot right off the bat. And now you have the second part of the approach shot that comes into play when it comes to lie, and that is the penalty your ball will receive because of the grass that it's sitting in. So it's sitting in heavy rough. You get an 82%, an 18% penalty to your total distance of your shot. Therefore, meaning if I was to hit a 100% shot, just for clarification, if I was to hit this 100% shot, I would have an 81% fulfillment of this shot. Therefore, a 19% decrease in the actual distance, and 19% of 100 is 19. So this shot would actually come out at 81, which is kind of where we need to be. So if we're on a pitch shot right now. So let's see. I think I have a 101-yard club. I do have a 101-yard club. So this 101-yard club will come out at 81 yards. It'll come out right there. The wind is now slightly in my face, is perfect. My pin is even with my shot. So this 101 should come out, and it's going to land directly at the pin. So if I consider my next club down at 88 yards, this would land 12 yards short, but it's a lob wedge. And a lob wedge has very little to no rollout whatsoever, even when you're hitting it out of the rough. So we have no choice but to hit this sand wedge. It won't have too much rollout, but what we'll do is we'll add backspin to it, try and chunk out some of this elevation. But if our math is correct and we've applied the penalty properly and we understand the wind and we've guessed our lie, because our lie has a two-way situation going on here, it seems straight to me, and we've looked at our lie right and we've examined our lie right. Let's aim left because we got that 3% wind. And if we hit our shot, we should be really, really close to the pin here. Light, slow, 98%, but we should be close to the pin anyway. There it is. So the 98% to 100%, guys, actually basically does no difference than hitting that 100%. That's why I encourage you in the tempo video to go for that 98 to 100%. It allows you to get a good tempo. We almost hit our perfect tempo there. We just missed it on the slow side to the gray, but even out of the rough, because we did our calculation properly, we give ourselves a nice chance at a tap-in, almost a tap-in birdie there. Move on to the next one. We're already at 15 minutes on the video. I do want to keep these videos short, so this is a par 3. We'll make this one the last video for this. And then what I'll do, guys, is I'll go more in depth on some of these scenarios, like the wind. And if you guys have any questions or you want a follow-up video to this, let me know in the comments down below. I'm trying not to make videos too long. I'm trying to give you guys really quick, precise tips in order to make your game better. And I think this is really easy way to do it. So let's do it. Let's get her done here. So the tee box, we have nothing to worry about. It's a par 3, so it's always going to be 100%. Our wind is 5 mile an hour right to left with a little bit of push to it, so you probably get an extra yard. So we probably got to take this down to 179 to make up for that. And do we have any elevation? We do. We have 3 feet of elevation, 6 feet of elevation. Divide that by 3 is 2 yards up. So we got to add 2 yards back. So if we take away a yard and we add 2 yards, it's playing right around 190 yards to the pin. That being considered, we have to understand where we're at. So the 190, this club would hit it directly at the pin. 178 lands it before. Let's see what kind of danger we got going on here. It's very, very good, very important to examine what's going on at the hole, guys. And I can see right now at the hole we got a left to right, so we kind of want to drive it this way a little bit. This might be one of those times where we want to hit, where we have to utilize a slightly overpower shot, and that's okay. The 6 iron is going to roll out about 10-15 feet, which means it's going to get to about 193. It's uphill, so it's going to be stopped a little bit. So we're probably looking at hitting this, and we're going to want to hit the 101 red power, but we still want to hit that perfect shot, and that should bounce just before the just at the fringe or just after the green starts, and roll its way up to the pin, and hopefully the wind pushes us the 1 yard right that we need. Because I'd love to land like here, and as it rolls up, it breaks back towards the hole. So let's see what we can do here. This is a really aggressive line at the pin. Basically, if I'm not playing this safe, I'm not taking course management into consideration. I'm not taking any kind of strokes into consideration. I'm basically like trying to dart the pin, go right at the pin for this one. All right, let's take the shot. Oh baby, we hit that 101 and we hit that perfect. This should land right at the fringe, right after, like we said, and it's gonna work its way right up onto the hole. Didn't get as much of a rollout, landed kind of soft, but this is a-okay, guys. This is a great golf shot, and we put it in dead center of the cup for another birdie. All right, guys, so that's going to be the end of the video. I think I've given enough information. Again, the 3 steps to approach shotting in moving the pin is consider your wind. The wind, take into account 1 to 1. If you have 4 mile an hour wind at the back, you take away 4 yards from your pin. If you have 4 mile an hour wind directly to the front of you, you add 4 yards to your pin. If it's kind of left to right, right to left like this, reduce the yardage in half, so this 2 would become a 1. If it's not dead on, add or subtract the 1. I will get into more complex wind videos eventually, but right now let's just focus on the basics and add a 1-to-1 ratio to the wind. You're going to improve your scores tenfold. Trust me. Once you get to that level where your scores kind of like plateaued again, that's when you're going to want to take the next step and really deep dive into how the clubs are affected by wind, what type of shots are affected how by wind, elevation, how does that affect your wind? So there's a lot of factors that go into wind, but for now, take it at a 1-to-1 ratio, and you're already going to do a lot better than you were doing before. Secondly, your elevation, that one, you take the feet that you have in elevation, you divide it by 3 in order to get the yards. If it's up in elevation, you add those yards to your pin. So therefore, my new pin for here, which would be 7 or 6 divided by 3 is 2, my new pin would be 453 yards. If this was downhill, my new pin would be 449 yards. So downhill, you subtract from the pin. Uphill, you add to the pin. And last but not least, your lie, which is a two-part scenario. So your lie at the feet, is it above your feet or below your feet, therefore giving you a left to right trajectory or right to left trajectory. Knowing what that is, you press LB or L1 on your controller, and you can use the L2 at the same time to get that overhead look of your player in case you can't see the grid properly. If the grid is also going front to back or back to front, that's going to give a loft or a punch effect. So know that if you're on an upslope, your ball's going to loft up a bit, and it's not going to go the 293. If this was on a complete upslope and I was hitting the driver off the deck, aside from the penalty, I would probably be taking like a 10-yard hit to the actual total distance because I'm lofting the ball up to begin with. And then lastly, you're going to look at the penalty of the lie that you're in. Sand, rough, light rough, fairway, cart path, mulch, all have different penalties associated to them. So when you're in the lie, make sure you take a look at it. If it's a 90% lie over here, it means you're getting a 10% penalty to the total distance of your club. In this case, my 293 driver would get a 10% penalty, approximately 29 yards. I like to just round it up to 30, make it easy to calculate, which means my driver would end up at 263 yards if I hit it off a 90% lie grass or sand or whatever. All right, guys, so that's the quick, easy, it's probably my longest video to date. It's 20 minutes, but I think you're going to get some really good information on here, especially those of you that just joined the game, starting out of the game, how to figure out how to properly approach the greens and the holes, and just giving yourself a chance at getting the ball that much closer to the pin and making more pars and more birdies. All right, guys, make sure you leave a like on the channel. Make sure you subscribe. Leave a comment down below if there's any kind of things you guys are struggling with and you'd like me to make a video on. I'll be happy to do so for you. For now, Blue out. Peace.